Hello, my dear friends. As you heard in the last video about the beginning of Oriental dancing in Egypt, or as we say, belly dancing in Egypt in the 19th century, the second half of the 19th century, the competition was the most important tool which helped the Oriental dancers and also the dancing to be much more famous as it is or as we know now. But with some main points exactly also helped the Oriental dancers and also the Oriental dancing to be much more famous all over Egypt and also in the Arab countries. In this video I will talk with you about these points exactly and what was in the first half or in the beginning of the 20th century. Actually, it was a lot of wonderful things that happened, some funny points and some bad points or sad points I love also to share with you. Before I start, you have to know that during the time of the French campaign, when they entered Egypt, they created a lot of casinos, kiosks, or let me say music kiosks, and also theaters in Egypt. So all these places helped the Oriental dancing, of course, and many other type of dancing to be much more famous in Egypt. Plus also theater, which let the Egyptian knows exactly that they can use it for their play and something like that. At the same time, the casinos in Egypt became famous and many Egyptians started to enter or began to enter these casinos, watching the dancers, watching and hearing also the music and listening to the singers and many things like that. So this was the beginning of a place or a special place for the dancers or musicians or even also singers and play, to let people watch it, to let people know exactly this type of entertainment and this type of art. During the 19th century was like that until the end of 19th century, and then the beginning of 20th century, many dancers started to have these or some of these casinos for themselves. They use it for their type of dances, or they use it as a type of place can bring them money, give them much more money because people can go watching them, and many other dancers or singers or whatever was like that. And of course they were controlling everything. Some of them win and they earned a lot of money, and the others lost or lose, and their life was disaster. It was like that in Egypt. But we have to know that some of these casinos were very famous, such as Badi'a Masabni Casino. So this casino became much more famous because of dancers. A lot of dancers worked in under the hands of Badi'a or controlled by Badi'a, also musicians, also singers, and it started to be something new in Egypt. All these casinos, all these things were in Cairo and a little in Alexandria, but step by step it started to be much more also in Alexandria. We have to know that was not only, or Badi'a Casino was not only the place which brought to us all of these dancers, famous dancers, but there were also another area or another place in Cairo which we call it Awalim Lane. This area had a lot of dancers, musicians, also singers, created a wonderful types of arts here in Egypt. So there were not only Badi'a's Casino which brought to us all of these artists, but also this area what I told you, which we call it Awalim Lane. It was in or near to Muhammad Ali Street, which still exists until now here in Egypt, in Cairo. When you come and visit Egypt or visit Cairo, please, I invite you to go over there and look at this area, to smell this art or this, let me say, this type of history and art over there. But what a pity, Awalim Lane disappeared now. One thing I love to share with you, it is funny. really it is funny. Badia's Casino now changed and became a car garage or car parking. Now it is exactly the same also in Awalim Lane. It is changed now, or the government changed it now, and it became now a garage for cars or parking cars. From one side it is funny, from the other side I'm sad a little bit, because this area had a lot of history, stories about the musicians, the dancers, the story of art, and a lot of things like that. But now disappeared and became a garage like this way what I explained to you. This is the funniest point, but from the other side it is bad point. A lot of people in Egypt thought that all these dancers, as I told you, they came from Badia's Casino, but of course not. We had also another dancers came from Awalim's Lane, and they became also much more famous. The second point which helped these dancers to be famous in Egypt was the cinema. When the cinema in this time, in this period, became much more important for people to enter these cinemas and watching all of these wonderful films. Some dancers, they produced some of these films and others not. Of course, it is like that. But it helped all these dancers to become much more famous all over Egypt than all over the Arab countries. Another point which is very important, or note I love to share with you also, which is very strange. 99% of the Oriental dancers, the famous Oriental dancers, or let me say the Oriental dancers who I studied their life, I found them all, they escaped from either from their families or from their homes, and they became famous in the end. Most of them, they didn't graduated, yes, also. Some of them didn't study anything, and some of them, they studied until maybe 12 years old or 15 years old, not more than 20 years old, and then they stopped studying. But no one of them graduated to the college or something like that. Maybe one or two from them during this period, this time long ago, and in the end they stopped. So this is exactly what had happened this time, and this is exactly which brought to us all of these wonderful dancers, such as many. I cannot say names because we have a hell of names. Also another dancers, Oriental dancers, they came from the Arab countries, worked here in Egypt, and it was in this time, if anyone come in Egypt and worked in Egypt, he will become famous, or she, I'm sorry, also she will become famous all over the Arab countries. So Cairo or Egypt was the base for anyone wants to be exactly famous everywhere all over the Arab countries. This main point led us to know exactly that if you want to be famous all over the world, you have to visit Egypt, you have to work in Cairo, especially in this type of art. This is wonderful point, yes, also I love to share with you. This is exactly what had happened over there. I have stories, a huge story, a lot of stories about this area, but these were the main points I love to share with you. Also, a lot of videos I created for this time long ago about the Oriental dancers or belly dancers. You can watch all of them in my channel here, and of course I love very much to hear your opinion about. Next time or next video it will be about nowadays and what had happened exactly with our Oriental dancers and also our belly dancers. But you have to keep in mind that the Oriental dancing and belly dancing were connected also with politics here in Egypt, which made some strange points or strange things. In the next video, I will explain much more about it, yes, also, because we're still in this period until 1952. Or 51, something like that. I'm talking about this area exactly from the 1900 until 1952. This period had a lot of wonderful dancers came to us or appeared on the surface of art, and they made a wonderful things like that. Anyway, next video it will be about nowadays. For this reason, if this is first time watching this video or this is first time visiting the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button below and hit the bell to receive my next video. This was my video for today, which I hope you like it. And of course, if you have any comment or any question, please send them to me. And of course, I'll be waiting for you in the next video. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.